YCN, your local view on WVBK-CA, serving Manchester, Londonderry, Vermont, and South Charlestown, New Hampshire, and WVBQ-LP, serving Charlestown, New Hampshire, and Rockingham, Vermont.
Welcome to Capital Connections, your weekly access to politics and policy in the Granite State and how it impacts our region. I'm John O'Connor, your host. We're coming to you from the H. Raymond Danforth Library on the campus of New England College. On today's show, I'll be joined by Jerry Frew, who's the superintendent of the Kearsarge Regional School District, and we'll be talking about their budget and the upcoming deliberative session. First, these messages from the good businesses that believe a well-informed community is the greatest strength in sustaining a strong democracy. So please, stay with us.
Most paints have color that sits on the surface, but nothing beats Benjamin Moore's Color Lock technology that locks color right in, no matter how often you wash it. Color Lock technology, exclusively from your Benjamin Moore retailer.
Simple solutions in a challenging world. Let Echo Communications make your life simpler. From the beginning, creating design, through the commercial print process, and ending with custom mailing, all easily coordinated in one place. Echo Communications provides simple solutions in a challenging world. One place, many solutions.
Joining me is Superintendent Jerry Frew of the Kearsarge Regional School District, and we're going to talk about the budget. Jerry, thanks for being here. Let's talk, in general, what is Kearsarge's budget?
The operating budget for next year is proposed at about $37 million.
So and is it about the same as the previous year? Is it a large increase, small increase,
it's
decrease?
an increase of a little less than 1%.
So less than inflation increase.
Yes.
And how'd you do that?
Well, actually, it would have been a decrease from the budget that the administration put together initially. And then we received the news of the New Hampshire retirement system's increased costs and downshifting to the local area, and that's what resulted in an increase for our local district. We were about to come in about $93,000 under the current year's level of budget. And then we received that information, and that put us at about a 0.93% increase.
So we really, the district, your district, was a significant swing then, because a 1% on that number is not a small number.
Yes.
That must be, if I'm doing my math right, $300,000 to $500,000 in that range?
About $440,000 in retirement costs.
And is that because we have more teachers in the district, or?
No, actually we have fewer teachers in the district, and the retirees themselves are not receiving any increased benefit as a result of this increase. Really, the increase is brought about from years of performance or underperformance, if you will, in the state system, and the actual costs of sustaining those individuals who have that benefit needs to be met, and there was a big gap, and so the state needs to fill that gap somehow, and they've chosen to enlist the local school boards and taxpayers in filling that bucket for all of the districts in the state, not just Kearsarge.
And so this is affecting every district in our viewing area, every district in the state?
Absolutely.
And did they increase, because I want to pursue this just for a second and then go back to other items in the budget. Is there new legislation? Did they increase our Kearsarge's requirement? And
really, the state's share of funding the retirement system used to be in the vicinity of 35 to 40%. That was the share that they would put in for the local, for the employee or share. That has now been reduced to zero.
Not in 1 year, or was it over time?
Over time.
So it's the last tranche to zero. So the state contributes zero, the employee contributes something, and each school district contributes the balance.
That's correct.
And what's that total number? Is it the increase is
the employee share has gone up as well.
So this is a shifting to the employees and to the local taxpayers.
Yes.
And what's that line in Kearsarge's budget?
I would have to check that.
2 million, 3 million?
Yeah, yes.
So, I mean, it's not a small number.
Not at all.
And a $400,000 increase, 440 did you say?
Yes. Yeah.
That's also not a small number.
No, it's not.
And so, I mean, people have said the state doesn't downshift, it does downshift. Is this downshifting in your view?
It would be, yes.
Okay, so, well, if there's a legislator watching out there, we can...
From 40% to zero of the state's contribution, I would...
That's a shift.
I think that
Okay.
represents a shift.
So, what else is happening? How else were you able to keep the budget in balance?
Our transportation contract expired, and so we were able to renegotiate a 5-year agreement, and that resulted in savings to the district significantly next year in the vicinity of $200,000. We have been able to offer programming within the district to help reduce our out-of-district special education placements, and in that, and transportation related to that was a reduction of about $360,000. And so those are the reductions, some of the reductions. The exciting part for us as a district is the implementation of full-day kindergarten.
So it's not just all cost cutting, there's some positive...
Absolutely. We are thrilled that the board and the budget committee have unanimously endorsed the concept of full-day kindergarten in our district. And that's consistent with a growing number of districts throughout the state. Lebanon, I believe, has gone to full-day K. Others have been there. But with the new Common Core state standards coming forward in 2014 and 15, the assumption is that young children will have experienced full-day kindergarten leading up to 3rd grade.
So the state's implicitly mandating what you, I guess, see as a good thing.
Absolutely.
And the cost, what was the cost for that?
The staffing cost was about $155,000, I believe. The total cost may have been, and I'm running from the, off the top of my head, so.
We won't quote you on this, but
thanks.
Ballpark numbers.
I would say $170,000.
So, well, that's... so
including staffing, supplies, materials, those types of things.
And this will make a difference?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's, a reading and...
All the studies show that those students that have the advantage of a full-day kindergarten in any system will have a greater opportunity to be on grade level reading, perform at grade level.
And I have an opportunity to cut to a commercial here, so I'm going to have to hand it back. So, thanks. When we return, we'll talk about the initiatives in the budget. So please stay with us.
Aggressive styling, a more fuel-efficient turbocharged engine, and a completely redesigned interior. The 2012 C-Class with over 2,000 refinements. It's amazing, inside and out. The C-Class 4MATIC starts at just $38,020.
Holloway Motor Cars of Manchester, benzcars.com.
In 29 states, TDS is investing in the communities it serves, giving back to its customers, building networks that support vibrant local economies, introducing technology that connects homes and businesses, and providing exciting careers for thousands of people around the country and in your community. We're proud to be your local communications company, connecting you to more every day. Investing in communities. That's TDS.
Joining me is Jerry Frew, Superintendent of Kearsarge Regional School District. Jerry, your budget in the district's presenting is about 1% more than last year. And I want to talk about the initiatives that are in that budget. I know kindergarten's there.
Yes.
So let's move past kindergarten. What else is in that budget that's an immediate initiative, and what else is in the budget that really is leading the district toward its long-term goals?
Sure. I think capital improvement pieces are in our budget, as well as all districts who are trying to be mindful of moving ahead with strategic plans and looking at smoothing taxpayer impact over time. And so we have some capital improvement
Is this
things.
a major $1 million thing, or is it?
No, it's replacing windows in some of our schools. It's looking at fire alarm panels. It's looking at those types of things.
So this is where you'd say ongoing preventative maintenance.
Absolutely.
I guess is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
So this isn't building a
replacing
new wing.
aging equipment.
Okay.
Those types of things are important in all districts, and it's so important to keep on that track because it's pay me now or pay me later type of thing. And so when folks can stay on that planned maintenance, replacement and capital improvements, that helps taxpayers everywhere. I think another key point that all districts are dealing with are the curriculum changes around the Common Core state standards.
And what are the Common Core state standards, briefly in a nutshell?
Really, it's an attempt nationwide to address the mobility of children and families so that when students would perhaps move from one state to another state.
So when a student moves into New Hampshire from Massachusetts or Connecticut or New York or Pennsylvania or California or Texas,
there are some common...
The expectation, there's a degree of uniformity.
Yes. And I think for us locally, we are currently addressing the reading program. Next year's budget allows us to pilot math programs. And so we'll begin to kind of bring to a close the implementation of our reading initiative and then move toward a math initiative. And I think you're going to see that in many districts.
And are you happy with the reading initiative?
We are. Our teachers did a wonderful job of piloting different programs. They, because of budget restraints this year, agreed to do second-year pilots, but they switched around the programs that they were using, so different teachers had the opportunity to work with different programs and compare them themselves and how they were successful with their own students. So
I hear this sort of using data to drive decisions. I guess that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
And then the math, you're going to implement a math program?
Pilot, that remains to be determined what programs will be piloting, but that's
is it K to 12, or is it?
We'll start with the elementary grades and move forward.
And when does the state expect that these standards will be in place? Did you say
2014? So, and there will be we will be part of a consortium of states, I believe 33 of the number, that will take the Smarter Balanced assessment. Smarter Balanced is an adaptive assessment. It's technology-based, which simply means that as students answer questions, the degree of question that they receive next will be based on their previous response, and it adapts.
So if a student stays in Kearsarge or any of the districts that you do this, you'll actually really be able to get a great marker with a Smarter Balance on the improvement from year to year to year to year.
Yes. Student growth and achievement is one of the focal points of that assessment.
And will that replace the kneecaps?
It will replace kneecaps. It will require greater technology utilization in all districts. There is a statewide initiative right now gathering information in terms of the technology readiness tools so that districts have time to make adjustments in budgets and curriculum. Because as students are asked to input, keyboard skills, we need to ensure that they have the
You want to make
proper
sure you're testing their
skills.
knowledge, not their keyboarding.
Yes.
So, okay,
yes.
That makes sense, and you have to have the keyboards to do that.
Yes.
When will the district roll out that? The keyboarding and the Smarter Balance, is it 3 years from now?
We're looking at that now. We are currently assessing our technology readiness and also doing kind of a curriculum audit of our students in the current, because we've had keyboarding in the district, as many districts have for a number of years.
Do they have the skills to be able to do it
exactly.
accurately?
Yeah.
And I imagine many of them do this, a number of kids work at home and it's interactive in that way.
Much better typists than I am. Yeah.
I know my children are better typists
Absolutely,
than I am.
yeah.
So,
save the index fingers.
So I'm really interested, will the district and will other districts really implement a follow the child sort of model?
The opportunity is certainly there. There are districts that do that currently.
Is that a good?
Measuring individual student growth is something that more and more districts are able to do, given testing situations like the Northwest Educational Assessment, NWEA as they call. The Smarter Balance will allow that. Even the data that we have with the kneecaps allow drilling down into individual student performance and what areas they're proficient in, what areas they need additional help in.
When we return, Jerry Frew and I will discuss the contracts, especially the teacher's contract. It's quite revolutionary, so please stay with us.
The good folks at H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating Oils want you to know that their philosophy is simple. Wow 'em with our service. Fuel delivery when you need it and how you want it. Prepay or a 10-month budget plan puts you in control and provides automatic delivery. Or just call when you're at a quarter of a tank. Pay cash and get an additional 10 cents per gallon off.
Wow 'em with service. It's the H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating Oils way of doing business.
Shakes for gas. Awesome. Shakes for yummy, quick food or a sandwich made to order. Awesome. Shakes for shelves full of stuff you want. Awesome. For a friendly, helpful service, visit one of Shakes' 8 places soon. Awesome. Celebrating 15 years of friendly, helpful service. Jake's Market and Deli. Awesome.
Joining me is Jerry Frew, Superintendent of the Kearsarge Regional School District. Jerry, we've talked about the budget. I know there's also a warrant article about the teacher's contract and the paraprofessional contract.
Yes.
And I understand from talking with Dan Wolf, the superintendent, excuse me, not the superintendent, you're the superintendent. I understand from talking with Dan Wolf, who is the chairman of the board, that the teacher's contract really is quite revolutionary.
Yes.
You know, is that settled? Did every vote that all the parties put in place to have that go on the warrant article?
Yes, the Municipal Budget Committee, the school board, and the teachers have all ratified the contract and recommended the school board unanimously and the Budget Committee unanimously as well, recommending the adoption of the Article 2. Supporting the collective bargaining agreement between the teachers and the school board.
And I think the biggest thing that Dan talked about, and when he was on the show, I don't think we had seen the evaluation system voted on yet. Mm-hmm. And that was still being worked through, but the guts of the contract were voted on. And I guess the main issue here is that compensation won't solely be tied to years of service. It's going to be tied to performance.
That's correct. And since Dan's
visit,
yes. Since Dan's visit, the teachers have ratified the supervision and evaluation model, which was the final piece to be put in place to pursue a performance-based compensation model in year 3 of the contract. Really, that vote represents the culmination of about 3 years' effort in bringing in elements of effective instruction. We were kind of waiting for the state to determine its effective teacher rubrics, and I'm pleased to say that when they've issued the draft of that, our model is very much in tune with and in fact exceeds some of the state recommendations.
So we actually, Kearsarge, you're leading the front in this sort of the teacher evaluation, performance, quality.
Yeah, well, others have done it along the way. You know, earlier on, other districts have attempted to do this, and they've run into some financial challenges along the way, and we don't anticipate that to be the issue. I think that the message came loud and clear to us from the Budget Committee a couple of years ago that they would hope that we could move toward that model. And I'm thrilled because it really signifies a paradigm shift by our teachers. Excellence in teaching and instruction should be recognized. There should be a mechanism to recognize that. And this model provides for that mechanism. It accounts for distinguished teaching. It accounts for group goal attainment. When the district as a whole attains group goals, then there's additional compensation involved in that. I think that's very complementary to our teachers and the confidence that they have in being able to deliver high quality of instruction to kids, resulting in greater student gains.
And I was going to say, I mean, I think that's the big issue, is that their commitment to excellence.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't agree to that if you didn't believe you were good teachers.
Absolutely, and I think that therein is an indication of the experience level of our teachers as well. There has to be a certain confidence level, as you suggest, of adopting this model, and I commend our teachers for taking that bold step. I commend our board for being able to step up to the plate, so to speak, and support it financially, and the Municipal Budget Committee as well.
I mean,
it's not necessarily the most cost-effective measure. It's not the lockstep as the years past have been.
Right, but then I guess the function is, it's not a function. It's cost-effective in what criteria? If it's cost-effective in housing pupils, it may not be. If it's cost-effective in growing education, child growth, child development, then maybe. I mean, that's I guess what...
Yes. There are 5 domains of performance that will be assessed for the teacher's performance, a self-reflection piece of that as well. And it really...
So what are the 5 domains?
We have the student growth,
instruction,
planning, preparation, curriculum,
and self-reflection?
Yes.
So
learning. They're all learning and
learning oriented.
It's based on I'm a little confused because they don't necessarily reflect word for word what the state model, and so I've got 2 models floating in my mind right now, and which is which.
It's child-centered. It's preparation-centered. It's curriculum-centered. Is what I heard from you.
Yes, it's about how students learn.
And it'll capture whether I'm good or not good in the classroom, and it'll capture whether I'm excellent or good in the classroom.
And it provides the opportunity to reward that excellence, which is far different than the traditional system that basically puts someone at the top of the scale, says, okay, you'll get a cost of living raise and
nothing else.
Thank you very much. If that. This allows the people at the top to not only get cost of living, but to also get group goal attainment as well as individual performance attainment.
And I got to interrupt you here because individually and collectively we got to cut to a commercial. When we return, we'll continue our discussion of contracts and focus on the upcoming deliberative session. So please stay with us.
Your business is special. That's why it's important to surround yourself with people that can give you an advantage to help you grow your business. The commercial lenders at Lake Sunapee Bank have a reputation for doing just that. Get the advantage. Visit us today.
Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice, now serving the Upper Valley region of New Hampshire, continues to care for all ages in the home with compassion and expertise.
As part of our ongoing commitment to a healthy community, please join me each week for Home Care Matters on the Kearsarge Chronicle.
We'll focus on health tips, programs, services, and the ever-changing laws administering health care today.
Lake Sunapee Region VNA and Hospice, dedicated to your health and well-being.
When it comes to home mortgages, you have a lot of choices, but if you want the advantages of a great interest rate, local decision-making, and being able to pick up the phone and talk with your mortgage specialist, your choice is Lake Sunapee Bank. Visit us today.
Hi, I'm joined by Jerry Frew, who's the superintendent of the Kearsarge Regional School District. We're going to continue our budget conversations. We talked about the teacher's contract. I know also the voters will have an opportunity about a paraprofessional contract.
Yes, they will.
And I know that paraprofessionals are an important part of every school district.
Yes.
Was there anything new in this contract? Is there tectonic shifts? And the teachers, I think there was, or is this just really, you're doing a great job, let's keep going down the road?
I think in talking about the paraprofessional agreement, one of the key components of the original agreement was that if we have a reduction in force with the paraeducators at some point, that is based on performance and not just seniority, which was a key. That's a paradigm shift as well.
Was that in the original?
In the original agreement,
so,
and
that's maintained.
Yes,
again, that's sort of the theme of commitment to excellence and children-centered.
Yes. I think the big change in this para agreement, and it's a 2-year agreement, we've acknowledged that some paras may choose to become certified at a various level, and that would result in a 50 cent per hour differential in their pay. And the other big change in the para agreement is the response to the Affordable Health Care Act, and that probably has the most significant tax impact.
And the district's going to be hit by that one way or another, is that right?
Yes, and really the dilemma becomes not knowing what the rules are and the regulations necessarily yet. Do you become subject to the fines of not doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing and establish those costs in the meantime, and that's really what our board decided to do, to provide 85% of a contribution to a single plan and 50% contribution to a married or family plan.
Okay, so that
with the intent of providing a higher degree of insurance.
Which may be required, depending upon how the rules are finally drawn.
Yes.
On the Affordable Health Care Act.
Yes.
But other than that, I mean, there's other than the focus on performance in terms of reduction in force.
Right.
And other than that, it is.
It was a pretty simple contract to negotiate. We're very fortunate.
And I know
about a 1% raise.
Okay.
Each of the 2 years, 1%.
So it's not overly expensive.
No.
At least in the first year, and
no,
the health care.
About a $72,000 impact the first year of the budget, and about a $295,000 impact the second year. That's the year that the health care change takes place.
If I remember correctly, the cost shift from the state retirement was $440,000.
Yes.
So that is bigger than both years of this contract in 1 year. So to put it in context.
Yes. Yeah.
I know that Kearsarge is not an SB2 town.
Correct.
So you have a deliberative session.
Yes.
And in the deliberative session, some of the warrant articles can be amended. I don't think the contracts can be.
That's correct.
But I understand there's something new this year where, other than amending articles, there's actually going to be a vote that will happen at the deliberative session that won't happen in the paper ballots.
That's correct. And that vote will be in response to really school districts getting the same opportunity that municipalities have had in the past in terms of being able to retain a fund balance of up to 2.5% to address emergency situations or potential over expenditures in the budget. Or the third option is to return the money to the taxpayers, as historically has been the option.
And they can, and so why is there a vote?
This was new legislation that was adopted in this past session, and because of the charter, it's a non-appropriation clause. The vote takes place at the first deliberative session on January 5th and does not appear on the ballot.
And so what will voters who attend the deliberative session on January 5th be voting on? Do we take
They'll be voting, do we want to accept that opportunity for the school district to set aside that 2.5% and for emergency purposes or emergency purposes approved by the Department of Education, or for a potential over expenditure. I believe once in the past 10 years there may have been that.
There may have been something, and we had to go. You had to go back to the voters. So.
Yes, and so it's to eliminate that potential
now,
at any point.
Now that doesn't mean that the money will be rolled over. That simply gives the school board the option of how to deal with that.
Yes.
And in the past, the school board had a lot of reserve funds that the voters voted on.
There are 4 different trust funds in our district.
Will that be voted on, or is this
There are no trust fund articles this time.
And is that in part because of this article?
No. Because again, this is specifically the restrictions around this 2.5% are very tight.
Emergencies.
Emergency.
And overruns.
Overruns, or back to the taxpayers.
Okay. Does it come out of surplus, or is there additional money being voted on?
No, it's out of surplus. So it's not additional money.
So basically, this is going to. You will be voting. The district's citizens will be voting to give the school board a little more latitude on what to do with the funds.
Yes.
And they can carry it forward as sort of self-insurance.
For emergencies.
Yep. So.
It can't be carried forward to
do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Okay.
There are very strict requirements in terms of how that carryover can be used.
And speaking of doing what you want, right now we want to run a commercial, so I've got to turn it back. Thanks. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Capital Connections, your weekly access to politics and policy in the Granite State. If you have a comment or a suggestion for a show, please email me. Join us again next week at this same time for another Capital Connections.